Hello Internet family, Dan here from DansTube.TV, and today I have my Mavic Air 6 months later review. These are my thoughts after 6 months of using this tiny little drone from DJI. Before we jump into this review though, I do have a new clothing line called Eye in the Sky Clothing, so make sure to check it out. I will have a new design next month, and I'll have the link in the description below to check out the featured shirts. I will have a link in the description below to check out the Mavic Air on Amazon. If you do pick it up from my link, then you do help out the channel, and it will add no extra cost to your purchase, so that really does help me out. And it's currently $904 US in the Amazon store. That's for the Fly More bundle, so a really cheap Fly More bundle right now, and you're actually saving $94 currently on Amazon. It's been 6 months since I picked up the Mavic Air, and these are my thoughts after testing all of the functions and features and flying this little drone for an extended period of time. I'll go through things that I've noticed, the negatives, the positives, the ugly, the great, whatever it may be. I will mention everything that I've experienced so far with the Mavic Air. One of the most important things to know about the Mavic Air is that it's using an advanced Wi-Fi transmission. It's not using OcuSync or something more reliable. It's actually using Wi-Fi. So that means that depending on your location, you may have a lot of interference. And this is something that you can avoid if you go through your Wi-Fi settings and then choose a Wi-Fi channel that has the least interference in your area. Now, for me personally, this has drastically improved the experience, and I haven't had any issues since I manually choose the Wi-Fi channel. But I've actually had messages from people who live in areas that are just completely different to mine, all over the US, and people internationally that seem to have issues with the Wi-Fi transmission. They've told me that they're flying in their backyard, they've told me that they're flying in open areas where there seems to be nothing around them, no houses or anything, but for some reason they're having a lot of issues. So there could be something else in the environment, whether it's buried or whether there's a tower, some sort of radio tower, or some other sort of interference in their area that's just drastically affecting their flight, and they're only getting a couple of 100 meters up to 500-600 meters of flight distance. So for a lot of people that's not good enough. So really get to know your area and find out if there's anything that may affect the transmission. That's just something you really need to know. And then the other thing that's kind of a negative is occasionally you'll have the video feed on your phone coming in and out in terms of the quality. Sometimes it will be really flat and pixelated, and sometimes it will be clear. And I haven't had that issue since I've changed the Wi-Fi signal, but I noticed that early on the transmission issues were actually affecting my video feed. So that's something just to be mindful of, and something to kind of play around with when you do pick up your Mavic Air. Now on to some more positive aspects of the Mavic Air, and the first thing is the camera, which is honestly amazing. It's a 4K camera that I've been extremely impressed with. It's an automated fix system, so you don't have to tap on the screen to fix the focus or anything. It just automatically focuses. I think they call that the infinite focus or infinity focus or something like that, and it just means that it's constantly focused at all points, so you don't have to worry about any of that, which makes it really easy to just take your drone up and start recording straight away. Another thing that I absolutely adore about this tiny little drone is how tiny it is and the small form factor. This drone has really helped me in tight situations. I actually took the Mavic Air along the other day to help out on a drone rescue mission. Someone had lost their Phantom 4 Pro, we had no idea where it was, we couldn't track it through the app, so we actually asked permission from people in the area, and I flew my Mavic Air over a few of the houses to try to see if it was on a roof or if it was caught in a tree or something, and there was a tiny little gap that I had to fly through, and I would not have felt comfortable with any other drone, well maybe the Spark, but the Mavic Air is just tiny enough to feel comfortable to just slot through those tiny gaps, and that was really useful to be able to get up in the air and see what was going on up there. I also utilized the small form factor of the Mavic Air the other day where we were filming an electric skateboard video, which will actually be on the channel very soon. It's a review for the City Rover C5 electric skateboard, and we were in a car park, there was no one around, so I got really low to the ground and I put on active track, and there were a few street poles around and lights around and a few little bollards and whatnot around, but I was at a perfect height that I could see everything around me, and the Mavic Air was so small that I didn't have to worry about it hitting into anything, and it did a fantastic job in such a confined area. And I think that's where the Mavic Air really excels. It's got such a great camera on it, and it's such a well tuned little piece of technology that just works in every situation, and it's fantastic in small situations where you have to, fly through narrow environments. This would be perfect if you wanted to fly through a house and do some sort of inspection for someone that doesn't live locally and you want to send them a video of the internals of a house. Honestly, this is a really cool drone, and the small form factor actually makes a big difference when it comes to shooting really interesting shots in confined areas. I really love how the Mavic Air has 8GB of internal storage. It just comes in really handy if you don't have a microSD card on you, or you left it at home or something like that. At least you can shoot for a short period of time with your 8GB internal storage, and it becomes really useful when you actually use up your SD card, and then it just automatically saves onto the internal storage. A really handy feature that I think they'll add to future lines as well. Something I really loved. And I also love how this has a USB-C connection, so really fast transfer rates and a great update from previous models. Although I would like to see the option to actually charge the batteries through USB-C at the moment. You can't do that. You can literally only plug it in and transfer files. The Spark, I believe you could actually charge the batteries through their connection point, so I'd really like to see the option to charge through USB-C. I'm sure that will happen at some point, but for now you can only really charge it through the car charger or through the actual charging hub. Another consideration that a lot of people don't really think about prior to buying a drone is how loud and how much kind of presence it will bring to you when you're flying it. Now, if you pick up the Phantom 4 Pro, you'll notice it's a lot heavier, and you'll notice that when it takes off, it's a lot louder, and it has a bigger presence in the air. People look at it and people know that you're flying that drone. Now, when it comes to the Mavic Pro, it's a little better, it's a little smaller, but people still look at it. It's still quite a loud drone when it's flying. Now, the Mavic Air is something that you can get away with flying in areas that people are around, and people don't seem to notice that you're actually taking off. So it's really easy to just sit in the corner and then subtly take off and fly into the distance without people knowing that you're flying a drone, and then in turn coming over and distracting you or just staring at you and putting you off. This is actually a really subtle drone that doesn't make much of a noise. It's like a high-pitched mosquito. It's very small, and it's actually very kind of hard to recognize in the air if you're not, taking notice of where it's flying. So that's again another thing to take note. Because this is so small and you have to keep your drone in line of sight, you really do need to focus on where the drone is, especially the white version, the Arctic white version of the Mavic Air, as it just kind of disappears and just blends into the clouds. So you need to be aware of where it is and always keep your eye on the Mavic Air. So again, it's a positive that people aren't going to notice it, but it's also a negative in some way because it's that small and it kind of just blends into the white clouds. So just be aware of that. That's another thing to be mindful of when you're flying. One of the biggest negatives for a lot of people would be the flight time. Now, they quote that you get 21 minutes of flight time, but that's definitely unrealistic. You probably only get about 17 to 18 minutes of flight time, so you really do need the Fly More combo. Otherwise, you're not going to get much flight time at all, and it's a really pointless experience if you can only fly for such a short period of time. So honestly, I would recommend the Fly More combo if you are going to get anything, and at that point, it's a lot more usable. 3 batteries is great. 4 batteries is fantastic, and I think is the sweet spot. I get a really great flight experience out of 4 batteries, and honestly, it's not too bad if you kind of just work around it and plan your flight a little bit. It's not that much of a headache, and honestly, I've been really happy with the flight time. It does drain really quickly, and I find myself kind of going, oh wait, what? I'm already at 30%, I need to come in soon. But besides that, it's not the biggest drama in the world, and the trade-off here is having a smaller drone, which will have obviously less battery life. But if you're looking for a drone that's a lot smaller, a lot more compact, and definitely a perfect travel companion, then that's where the Mavic Air really stands on its own. There is no drone on the market that's this small that has such a great 4K camera with a 3-axis gimbal. It's honestly amazing, and it has so many great features built into it. I've spoken about the 4K camera quite a lot, and I'm very happy with the image. 4K does honestly look amazing from this little drone here. But also you can shoot in 1080p at 120 frames per second, which will automatically create slow motion videos through the application. So when you put it into your editing suite, it's ready to go in slow motion. You don't have to slow it down or do anything like that. It's just there, ready to go, which is something I actually thoroughly enjoyed. It means that you can save the footage on your phone and then you can share it on your social networks, or if you put it in your editing suite, then you have a little bit more freedom to play around with it. But I love the fact that it's automatically slowed down and ready to go. That was something that made it a lot easier, and I think for a lot of people this is going to be the clincher, because you don't have to worry about editing too much. It's just ready to go then and there. I have spoken about a lot of these features in other videos, so I won't get into them too much. If you want to watch a more thorough video on the Asteroid, Boomerang, Smart Capture, all of the other modes, then I do have other videos on my channel on the Mavic Air. But I did want to mention that the Asteroid mode is honestly amazing. I'm super addicted to this feature. It creates like a tiny little planet that the drone then zooms in on and then focuses on a subject. It looks really unique, and it's actually a really nice transition to use with other footage. And then you have the Boomerang mode, which I've never really enjoyed as much as the Asteroid mode. It's one of those modes that you really need no one around you, because you need to fly relatively low to get that swinging boomerang motion. But honestly, from what I've seen, it is a great feature, and I've tested it a few times and it works well. It just doesn't seem to be as much of a clincher for me. I prefer the Asteroid mode. And then you have the Smart Capture mode, which is basically the advanced gesture controls, which is an improvement on the Sparks version of gesture controls. And Smart Capture is amazing. It's really, really responsive. Easy to use with just basic hand gestures. You can take off and land, you can move the drone around, you can push it further away, pull it in closer, and then when you put your hands down by your side, it will automatically go into a follow mode. And a lot of people have messaged me saying that this follow mode is really useful for them. They can just literally set it up, jump on a bike, and then it will just follow them. Or if you're going for a jog or whatever it may be, it will just automatically follow you in this mode. And it's worked really well from all of the tests that I've put it through. I've been honestly extremely impressed with this feature. Another feature that has impressed me is the APAS mode, which is basically just flight autonomy. So the drone actually maps out the environment and it senses trees or people or whatever it may be in the way, and it will actually navigate a path around or over this obstacle, and it will continue filming the video without stopping dead there in its tracks. And let's be honest, if the drone's just going to stop, it's going to kill the shot and it's not going to look great. So the fact that it can continuously just fly around trees or people or navigate through obstacles, that's really useful when you're filming then and there and you don't really want to navigate manually, and you can genuinely trust the automated system here. It does a great job. I've tested it in a lot of different environments and it does a fantastic job. One thing to be mindful of though is I've noticed that different lighting conditions will definitely play up with the sensors. So if you've got direct sunlight shining on one of the sensors, it won't be as reliable as, say for example, you're in a shadowy area or you're somewhere where, you know, there's not too much sun. Then you will have 100% perfect results. So just be mindful, this isn't something you should 100% trust, but it is a great safety mechanism, and it's actually a really useful feature to use if you are going to be flying through a tight area, somewhere where there's lots of trees or lots of people around or something like that. It's a really great situation to kind of use this APAS mode. The Wi-Fi video transmission supports dual frequency bands, so you can either use 2.4 GHz or 5.8 GHz, and that was something that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Make sure that you get used to this because you will want to change between the different channels. Your smartphone will receive a 720p live view video feed, which is actually really decent. It's relatively usable and something that can really give you a concept of how the image will come out when you put it on your computer. So 720p is usable and decent by all means, and you can also fly for up to 4 kilometers away depending on what compliance this drone is under. So it's really confusing. You kind of need to look through the Mavic Air's website or the Mavic Air page, but it's either 4 kilometers or 2 kilometers away, and that range depends on, I believe, the region that you live in. So different units were shipped out to different regions, and that just depends on the compliance of the actual unit itself. So just make sure you do some research. I can't really tell you every country that's accepted for 4K or 2K, so just look into that. But the Mavic Air can can fly up to 4K away depending on where you live. This tiny unit also supports 3-directional environment sensing, so that means that you have sensors at the front, the back, and underneath the unit, which just ensures that you have a really safe flight. And for such a small unit, I was impressed to see so many sensors on it. I also really like the 32 megapixel sphere panoramas, which I can't really show you because it's more of a virtual reality thing where it's in a sphere and you can look around on your phone or on your virtual reality headset. Again, a really cool feature that is exclusive to the Mavic Air at the moment. So honestly, this little unit here does pack a punch. It has so many different flight modes. It has a lot of control over the image and how you want everything to portray. I will mention that the color profiles are very limited. You only really have normal or cine-like D, so that's very limited there, but you can adjust some of the other settings to kind of make up for that. Overall though, the image is great. Everything is just really fantastic on this unit and works well. So I've been happy with it. And honestly, if you're in the market for a small drone, something that can shoot in 4K, something that's portable for your travels, whatever it may be, this drone is perfect. So definitely check it out. I will have the links in the description below. And I'll also will have the links to the clothing brand Eye in the Sky Clothing, so definitely support the channel and pick yourself up some merch. If you do share some of your pictures of you wearing the shirts, then make sure to use hashtag Eye in the Sky Clothing, and I will actually share the pictures on the social network page Eye in the Sky Clothing. I have Facebook and Instagram for that, so it would be really great to see some of you guys wearing the shirts. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to have a fantastic day, and peace out.